Good morning, I'm Bob Schieffer, and this is Face the Nation. The news from Iraq overnight worse than ever, and back home, the Republican Party is in shock after one of its top leaders is defeated in his primary. We're going to start with Iraq, where a suicide bombing attack has killed at least 9 and injured 20 in central Baghdad, possibly the first in a wave of attacks that have been announced by ISIS, the al-Qaeda splinter group that is leading the movement against the Iraqi government. In other regions in Iraq yesterday, Shiites marched in the streets to show they were ready to defend their homeland against the invaders, and what's left of the Iraqi government forces now seem to be preparing to stand and fight, setting up for a showdown in Baghdad. The president has ruled out sending ground troops to Iraq, but the United States has moved the aircraft carrier, the USS George Bush, into the region, and the president says he is weighing options, but only if Iraq institutes immediate reforms. We have 2 reports now from Iraq, and we're starting with Clarissa Ward in Baghdad. Clarissa.
Good morning, Bob. Well, the situation here continues to get worse and worse. This morning, a suicide bomber attacked a location where Iraqi soldiers go to buy their uniforms. We're hearing reports that at least 12 people were killed in that attack. Meanwhile, the Iraqi security forces do appear to be preparing some type of a counter-offensive. The Iraqi army and Shiite militias are assembling now in the city of Samarra, north of Baghdad, which is home to one of the holiest Shiite shrines. And while the U.S. is reluctant to get involved militarily here, Iran has no such qualms. They are throwing their support solidly behind the Shiite-dominated government of Nouri al-Maliki. CBS News can confirm that the head of the Quds Iranian paramilitary force, Qasem Soleimani, is here in Baghdad along with a contingent of Iranian fighters.
Clarissa, do you get any indication that Prime Minister Maliki heard what the president said on Friday about instituting reforms immediately? Do you get any sense that he is taking the president's words seriously?
Well, actually, quite to the contrary, Bob. What we're seeing here in terms of strategy is remobilizing Shiite militias, flying in Iranian paramilitary forces, actions that really only fan the flames of the sectarian divisions that already exist here. And what was so striking about when ISIS went into those towns, those cities, Mosul and Tikrit, many moderate Sunnis even, who don't espouse their radical ideology, welcomed them. And that's because over the past few years, while the rest of the world has essentially forgotten about Iraq, Maliki's government has been systematically disenfranchising both the Sunni population and its leaders. And it's not clear whether he has either the political acumen or, frankly, the motivation to try to bridge that gap.
Do you get any sense that Iraq can actually be put back together?
That is what's so desperately scary. And when you talk to Iraqis and to politicians here, all of them have the same fears, whether they're Sunnis or Shiites. They fear that this country is breaking apart in a way that is irretrievable. And of course, that's particularly frightening because it's a conflict that really threatens to consume the entire region. We could literally see all of the borders of this region be redrawn around sectarian lines.
Clarissa Ward. Clarissa, thanks so much. Be careful now.